Urgent, Jack LaRavia sends the first message to Lakers fans after the free agency contract. Stay until the end to find out everything, but first leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any news from the Lakers. As the NBA's 2025 free agency period commenced, whispers surrounded the Los Angeles Lakers. The franchise known for its championships and star power was once more in the headlines, dissected by fans and pundits alike. The opening days were hectic with speculation, but as the noise quieted, the Lakers executed a significant move. They officially secured their first free agent signing. Following the departure of veteran forward Dorian Finney-Smith to the Houston Rockets, the Lakers acted decisively to reinforce their roster. Their first acquisition? Jack LaRavia, a 23-year-old forward who inked a 2-year deal reportedly worth $12 million. To many, LaRavia remains an unfamiliar face. He's not a superstar, yet. However, during the 2024-25 campaign, his performance split between the Memphis Grizzlies and Sacramento Kings revealed glimmers of potential. Now, he's stepping into the storied Lakers organization with the opportunity to establish himself. One of his most notable moments came late in the season, on March 17, 2025. Playing for Sacramento against his former team, Memphis, at the Golden One Center, LaRavia turned heads. With controlled aggression, he made confident plays on both ends, signaling his readiness to be more than a role player. Rob Pelinka, the Lakers' general manager, still faces significant roster challenges. Building a contender requires both bold moves and smart depth additions. Signing an under-the-radar talent like LaRavia proves strategic. He's not a headline grabber, but could deliver meaningful contributions. Soon after the deal was finalized, LaRavia addressed Lakers fans via Instagram. "Lake Show, can't wait to get started. Hope y'all are as hyped as I'm feeling. Let's put in the work." His enthusiasm was palpable. The Lakers brand carries weight. For players, it's not just basketball, it's a legacy. Few franchises match Los Angeles in tradition, spotlight, or pressure. Statistically, LaRavia had a promising but modest season. Across 66 total games with Memphis and Sacramento, he averaged 6.9 points, 3.9 rebounds, 2.4 assists, and nearly 1 steal per contest. His shooting was efficient, 47.5% from the field and an impressive 42.3% from long range, credentials that suggest he can stretch defenses and fit into modern, space-oriented schemes. At 23, with only 3 seasons under his belt, LaRavia represents youth and upside. The Lakers signed him with the clear hope of nurturing his growth. Physically capable and positionally versatile, he could develop into a key rotation piece. Naturally, there are no guarantees. He may not find consistent minutes in a talent-rich lineup. But even if he remains a depth option, his $6 million per year contract is low risk with potential upside, a prudent investment. Beyond raw numbers, LaRavia brings intangible qualities: effort, professionalism, and a hunger to improve. He's steadily carving out his identity in the league and seems determined to elevate his game further. As the Lakers continue to evaluate and enhance their roster around players like LeBron James and Luka Doncic, LaRavia represents one of the quieter yet meaningful moves. His signing signals attention to depth, development, and balance as LA targets another championship run. Jack LaRavia's journey with the Lakers begins here, with anticipation, possibility, and the chance to make a statement. Not through flash but through consistent, committed effort. Jack LaRavia touched down in Los Angeles to a wave of sunshine, camera flashes, and quiet curiosity. Though his signing didn't dominate the sports headlines, insiders knew the Lakers saw something in the 23-year-old forward. He wasn't expected to be the next LeBron or Luka, but he wasn't brought in to sit quietly on the bench either. From the moment he walked into the Lakers training facility, LaRavia knew things were different. The walls were decorated with photos of legends. Banners hung from the rafters as silent reminders of the franchise's golden standard. This wasn't just another team, it was a dynasty. Still, Jack stayed grounded. The attention, the expectations, the pressure, it didn't shake him. If anything, it motivated him. His first interactions with the staff were humble and focused. He arrived early, introduced himself to everyone from the security guards to assistant coaches, and asked questions. He wanted to learn, not just how to fit in but how to make an impact. "You've got the right mindset," one of the trainers told him during a workout. "That'll carry you further than anything." The Lakers' summer practices began shortly after. For Jack, they were intense. The tempo was faster than what he had seen in Memphis or Sacramento. The coaches demanded precision, and mistakes were met with immediate correction, but never discouragement. Coach Darvingham made it clear from the beginning, "You're not here by accident. You've got talent. What you do with it here, under this spotlight, is what will define your role." The Lakers veterans welcomed him cautiously but respectfully. Jack knew he had to earn his place. In drills, he didn't try to be flashy. Instead, he focused on consistency. On defense, he stuck close to his man, fought through screens, and called out coverages. On offense, he moved without the ball, set strong picks, and took smart shots. What surprised some teammates was his calm demeanor. Despite being new to the team and the city, Jack carried himself with quiet confidence. He didn't need to talk big. His actions did that for him. Off the court, he began adjusting to life in Los Angeles. The city was loud, sprawling, and full of distractions. But Jack kept things simple. He moved into a modest apartment not far from the practice facility and spent most of his time training, resting, or watching film. Fame wasn't what he was chasing. Opportunity was. In interviews, he remained humble. When asked about the pressures of playing in LA, he replied, "It's a blessing to wear this jersey. I just want to contribute in whatever way the team needs." Still, not everyone was convinced. Fans debated his signing online. Was he just another temporary addition? Or could he actually crack the rotation? Jack didn't answer those questions with words. In scrimmages, he started to stand out. His shooting touch from the corners was reliable. He read passing lanes well. He ran the floor hard. Slowly, the coaching staff began giving him more reps with the second unit, and even some time with the starters. Veterans began to notice. Austin Reeves mentioned him in a media session. "Jack's been solid, man. Plays hard, doesn't force things. He's got a high IQ." That type of recognition didn't go to Jack's head. It only pushed him harder. As preseason approached, LaRavia found himself in a strong position. Not guaranteed minutes, but certainly not on the fringe. He had shown enough in practices to earn trust. And in a city that often craves the spectacular, Jack LaRavia was showing that sometimes it's the steady, smart, and selfless players who last the longest. He was no longer just the new guy. He was becoming a Laker. The arena lights hit different when you're wearing purple and gold. For Jack LaRavia, the moment he stepped onto the court for his first Lakers preseason game was more than just another appearance. It was the beginning of a new identity. The crowd wasn't packed like in a playoff game, but the energy was unmistakable. Even in exhibition matches, Lakers fans had expectations. They scrutinized every shot, every rotation, every substitution. This was Los Angeles. Every minute counted. Jack was slotted into the second unit for the first game against the Phoenix Suns. It wasn't a glamorous role, but it was a meaningful one. He was surrounded by a mix of bench veterans and up-and-coming players, all trying to prove they belonged. From the opening whistle, Jack stuck to what he knew best, playing smart, fundamental basketball. He didn't force shots. He stayed in his lanes, rotated on defense, and spaced the floor. In his first 5 minutes, he grabbed 2 rebounds, hit a corner 3, and drew a charge. Not flashy but effective. After the game, Coach Darvingham spoke with reporters. "Jack's one of those guys you don't have to tell twice. He's coachable and he's earning his minutes the right way." The media started to pay more attention. Articles popped up calling LaRavia a potential sleeper pickup for the Lakers. Social media was buzzing too, with fans split. Some skeptical, others intrigued. In the locker room, Jack stayed quiet. He listened more than he spoke. But teammates were starting to notice. Rui Hachimura slapped him on the back after practice one day and said, "Keep doing you, man. You're in the right spot." The next few games saw LaRavia's role expand. He was getting more minutes, being trusted with defensive assignments on bigger wings, and even running the offense occasionally from the top of the key. His versatility was a surprise. not just to fans but to the coaching staff as well. By Game 4 of the preseason, he logged 22 minutes, scored 11 points, grabbed 6 rebounds and notched 3 assists. More importantly, the team was plus 12 while he was on the court. His presence made a difference. Jack wasn't just surviving, he was thriving. But he knew better than to get comfortable. After all, this was still preseason. Real competition hadn't even begun. Off the court, he remained as grounded as ever. Instead of soaking up the LA nightlife, he spent evenings studying film, often texting with assistant coaches about positioning, screens and defensive rotations. He wasn't just trying to fit in, he wanted to understand the Lakers system inside and out. His agent called him one evening, offering congratulations for the early buzz. "Just keep it going," Jack said. "I'm not satisfied yet." The regular season was looming. The intensity would rise, the stakes would grow, and the margin for error would shrink. Jack knew that. But he also felt something else, a growing sense of belonging. He wasn't looking at the stars anymore. He was starting to feel like part of them. By the end of preseason, it was clear that LaRavia had earned himself a role. Not just as a developmental project or emergency fill-in, but as a rotation player. The final game was a win, and as the buzzer sounded, Jack looked up at the scoreboard for a moment before heading into the tunnel. It wasn't pride that showed in his eyes, it was readiness. He had passed the test. But the real challenge was only beginning. Opening night in the NBA is like no other. For players, it's a reset button. For fans, it's the beginning of hope. For Jack LaRavia, it was a chance to prove that everything he'd worked for in preseason wasn't just a fluke, it was a preview. The Lakers were hosting the Denver Nuggets, the defending champions. It was a high-stakes game, nationally televised with millions watching. Crypto.com arena buzzed with anticipation. Celebrities lined courtside seats. Cameras followed every move. And Jack, in his freshly pressed number 33 jersey, sat quietly at the end of the bench, awaiting his moment. He wasn't starting. That much he expected. The Lakers' rotation was top-heavy, with established stars and seasoned veterans. But LaRavia knew his role, and more importantly, he knew that roles evolve quickly in the NBA. All it takes is one opportunity. Midway through the second quarter, with the second unit struggling to contain Denver's bench scorers, Coach Hem looked down the bench and called his name. Jack stood up, adjusted his headband and checked in. The lights didn't faze him. On his first possession, he boxed out for a contested rebound and kicked it to Reeves to start the fast break. A few plays later, he knocked down a 3 from the left wing. The crowd responded with polite applause, not explosive but approving. He was making things happen. He ended the game with 7 points, 5 rebounds, and solid defensive effort in 16 minutes. Not a headline stat line, but a contribution that didn't go unnoticed. In the post-game press conference, LeBron was asked about the team's younger players. His response was short but telling, "Jack played with poise." That's all you can ask. From that night on, Jack LaRavia's role was no longer theoretical. He was part of the Lakers' real-time strategy. Over the next several games, he carved out a niche as a two-way forward who could defend multiple positions and knock down open shots. He wasn't demanding touches. He wasn't dribbling through traffic. He was doing the little things, rotating correctly, diving for loose balls, making the extra pass. The kinds of plays that don't always make the highlight reels but win the respect of coaches. The analytics staff started to notice too. Advanced metrics showed that the Lakers' net rating improved when LaRavia was on the floor, especially in lineups built around second units. His basketball IQ and spacing allowed others to play freer. He was a connector, not a disruptor. Media coverage started shifting. Articles labeled him a glue guy, the kind of player every contender needs even if few fans buy his jersey. Lakers blogs dissected his film. Social media began tagging him in praise. One tweet read, "LaRavia might be the smartest pickup no one's talking about." Still, Jack kept a low profile. He didn't celebrate too much after wins or dwell too long on tough nights. One game at a time. One possession at a time. His humility started to become part of his brand. Fans admired how he didn't chase attention. The locker room respected his work ethic. Coaches began trusting him in tighter game situations. Then came his first real breakout. In a back-to-back matchup against the Dallas Mavericks, the Lakers were missing two key forwards due to injury. Jack was inserted into the starting lineup. The national broadcast crew barely mentioned it in the pregame, but by halftime his name was on every commentator's lips. He put up 14 points on 5 of 7 shooting, grabbed 8 rebounds, and held his own defending Luka Doncic on several switches. The Lakers won by 4. LaRavia's fingerprints were all over the victory. Jack LaRavia. Remember the name, one analyst said after the game. He's not just filling a spot, he's earning it. By the end of the first month of the regular season, LaRavia had gone from unknown newcomer to a trusted rotation piece. His jersey still wasn't flying off the shelves, but inside the Lakers organization he was seen as a quiet success. He hadn't arrived with fanfare, but he was here. And the lights? They were only getting brighter. For the first time in his professional career, Jack LaRavia wasn't just trying to break in, he was trying to stay in. The hardest part of finding success in the NBA isn't the breakthrough, it's the follow-through. Every night brought new opponents, new matchups, new challenges. With each game Jack played well, expectations grew, from fans, from coaches, and from himself. And expectations in LA are never light. It started subtly. A couple of missed shots in a close game against the Spurs. A late defensive rotation against the Heat. Moments that would have gone unnoticed in Sacramento or Memphis suddenly drew scrutiny in the Los Angeles market. Is LaRavia slipping? Read one headline after a rough outing. Solid but not special. He saw the chatter. He didn't respond. But it lingered. For Jack, the mental game became the new battleground. He wasn't someone who craved attention, but he wasn't immune to pressure either. Every time he walked into Crypto.com arena, he felt it pressing on his shoulders. Perform or be replaced. To stay grounded, he leaned on routine. Early workouts before the team arrived. Stretching sessions with the training staff. Film study at night. He watched every minute he played, rewinding defensive slips and offensive hesitations again and again, trying to fix the little things before they became big problems. I don't want to be average, he told an assistant coach after a tough loss to Golden State. I want to get this right. His shooting dipped slightly in December, hovering below 38% from deep. A cold stretch by NBA standards. Enough to trigger conversations in the front office, debates on talk shows, and murmurs from the bench. But Jack didn't flinch. He adjusted. With help from the shooting coach, he tightened his release, focused on shot selection, and added more movement without the ball to create better spacing. Gradually his shooting stabilized. His defense, too, became sharper, anticipating passing lanes, taking smarter angles, communicating more assertively. One night, after a big win over the Timberwolves, Coach Ham pulled him aside in the locker room. Pressure only comes when people start to believe in you, he said. You're earning that. Keep working. The team felt it too. LeBron, normally reserved when it came to role players, took time during practice to walk Jack through a defensive read. A small gesture that said everything. He was one of them now. Still there were ups and downs. Against Milwaukee, Jack was held scoreless in 18 minutes. Against Oklahoma City, he hit 4 threes and blocked 2 shots. Consistency was the goal, but growth rarely travels in straight lines. What never wavered was Jack's mindset. He showed up every day, stayed even-tempered, and never asked for more than he earned. The locker room started calling him Clockwork. Not because he was flashy, but because he was always there, always reliable. Even the fans began to shift their tone. LaRavia is that guy you don't notice until you realize he was the reason you won, one Lakers blogger wrote. Every contender needs one. By mid-season he was averaging 7.4 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 1.9 assists per game. Modest numbers on paper, but his impact went beyond the stat sheet. The team's second unit held opponents to fewer points when he was on the floor. His plus-minus rating ranked among the top 5 on the roster. He wasn't a star, but he was a piece that mattered. And as the All-Star break approached, Jack LaRavia wasn't just surviving the NBA grind, he was earning his place in one of the most demanding basketball environments in the world. He had come in as a low-key signing. Now he was becoming something more, a trusted Laker. The All-Star break arrived not as a celebration, but as a moment to breathe. For the NBA's elite, it was a weekend of lights, cameras, and Showtime dunks. For Jack LaRavia, it was something different. A reset. A checkpoint. A reminder of just how far he'd come, and how far he still had to go. He didn't get an invite to Rising Stars. He wasn't a three-point contestant. He didn't mind. Recognition for him was measured in film sessions and fourth-quarter minutes, not in social media buzz. Instead of heading to Salt Lake City, Jack flew home to Indiana for 2 days. He stayed low-profile, spending time with his parents, his brother, and his high school coach. They watched film together, shared meals, and mostly talked about anything except basketball. But it was always there, in his mind, quietly pulsing. "Do you think you'll get traded?" his younger brother asked one night. Jack hesitated. "I don't know," he said honestly. "It's part of the business." And that was the reality of his situation. While he had worked his way into the Lakers' rotation, the franchise was still under pressure. LeBron was aging, Anthony Davis needed help, and the front office was feeling the heat to make a push. Rumors swirled, Lakers exploring wing upgrades, bench depth still a concern, LaRavia part of trade package? Jack tried to tune it out, but it was impossible to ignore completely. He had teammates check in subtly, "You good?" And even staff members whispering reassurances, though no promises. Back in Los Angeles, the business side of basketball roared to life. Phone calls. Speculation. Deadlines. The NBA trade deadline was like a storm system. Some players were untouched, others swept away in seconds. Jack kept practicing, kept grinding, but his name hung in the air like static. Not a priority. Not a centerpiece. But maybe, just maybe, a movable piece. Then the deadline passed, and he was still a Laker. The text from his agent came through first. "Staying put. Front office likes your development. Keep going." Relief washed over him. But not celebration. There was no guarantee he'd finish the season in the same uniform, but for now he had stability. That was enough. In the games that followed, Jack returned to the floor with a new edge. Sharper. More locked in. He dove for loose balls, fought through screens harder, and hit threes with confidence. It wasn't about proving something anymore, it was about building something. His minutes remained steady. His impact growing. Coach Ham gave him more defensive responsibility. One night it was Brandon Ingram. Another it was Chris Middleton. Jack didn't shut them down, few defenders do, but he made life difficult. He forced extra passes. He turned primary scorers into second guesses. "You're becoming one of our reliable guys," Ham told him after a win against New Orleans. "That's not common for a 23-year-old. Don't take it for granted." Jack nodded. He wouldn't. The second half of the season loomed, with every game tightening. The Lakers sat in the middle of the Western Conference. Not safe, not doomed, but balanced on the edge. Every role player mattered. Every rotation had weight. And Jack? He wasn't a star. He wasn't a headline. But he was still here. Still working. Still climbing. The NBA season is a marathon, not a sprint. And injuries are an unfortunate part of the journey. For Jack LaRavia, the unexpected absence of key Lakers players was the opportunity he had been waiting for. Anthony Davis went down with a sprained ankle, sidelined for multiple weeks. LeBron James, managing nagging back issues, was limited in minutes. Suddenly, the Lakers needed more from their bench and more specifically from Jack. Coach Darvin Ham didn't hesitate. "Jack, we're counting on you," he said during a team meeting. It was a simple statement, but heavy with expectation. Jack embraced the challenge. No longer the quiet role player, he became a key cog in the rotation. His minutes increased significantly. He started facing the toughest matchups, guarding players like Jimmy Butler and Paul George. The stakes were higher. The pressure was real. But Jack didn't back down. In a home game against the Miami Heat, Jack put on a performance that caught many by surprise. He scored 18 points on efficient shooting, grabbed 10 rebounds, and played lockdown defense. The crowd erupted, chanting his name, a rarity for a relative newcomer. "It's moments like these that define your career," Jack said in a post-game interview. "I'm just trying to help the team win." His confidence grew with each game. He began to take more initiative on offense, driving aggressively to the basket and finding teammates with sharp passes. Defensively, his anticipation and effort forced turnovers and disrupted opposing offenses. The Lakers' chemistry shifted. Jack's energy and hustle brought a spark to the second unit. His teammates fed off his intensity. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. With increased minutes came fatigue. Jack found himself battling through soreness and minor injuries. There were nights he felt drained but pushed through, knowing the team needed him. The media began to notice the young forward's rise. Analysts praised his work ethic and versatility, calling him a breakout candidate and a dark horse star in the making. Still, Jack remained humble. "I'm just focused on the next game," he said. "There's a lot of basketball left to play." As the Lakers navigated a tough stretch of schedule, Jack's contributions became vital. His ability to guard multiple positions and score efficiently made him a valuable asset in tight contests. LeBron publicly acknowledged Jack's growth. "He's earned his minutes," LeBron said. "He's one of those guys who works hard every day and makes everyone better." By the end of the month, Jack was averaging career highs across the board. The pressure had intensified, but so had his game. The spotlight was no longer intimidating. It was familiar. Jack LaRavia was no longer just a prospect. He was a proven contributor, stepping confidently into the Lakers' future. As the regular season wound down, every game carried extra weight. The Western Conference was crowded with contenders and hopefuls all fighting for playoff positioning. The Los Angeles Lakers found themselves in the thick of the battle, and Jack LaRavia's role became even more critical. The pressure was palpable. With LeBron managing minutes and Anthony Davis still recovering from injury, the Lakers relied heavily on their supporting cast. Jack was no longer a surprise. Opponents prepared specifically for him, studying his tendencies and trying to exploit any weakness. Jack knew this was the true test. In a crucial stretch of back-to-back games against top-tier teams like the Phoenix Suns and Denver Nuggets, Jack's grit and versatility were on full display. Against Phoenix, he logged 32 minutes, contributing 15 points and 7 rebounds. Against Denver, despite a tough defensive assignment, he held his ground and helped secure a narrow victory. It wasn't just about numbers, it was about impact. Jack's hustle plays, timely defensive rotations, and willingness to absorb contact inspired his teammates. He embodied the blue-collar mentality the Lakers needed to push through adversity. But the grind was wearing on him. Fatigue crept in. A minor ankle tweak forced Jack to sit out one game, the first time all season he missed significant action. The absence was felt immediately, as the Lakers struggled to contain opposing wings without him. When Jack returned, he was met with a chorus of cheers and a renewed sense of purpose. He responded by playing some of his best basketball, hitting clutch shots and making crucial defensive stops. The locker room had fully embraced him. Veteran players trusted his instincts. Coaches leaned on his consistency. Yet, the pressure of securing a playoff spot was relentless. Every loss felt like a setback. Every win a small victory. Jack found himself reflecting more often on how far he'd come, from undrafted hopeful to key rotation player on a storied franchise. But he also knew the season wasn't over yet. "Playoffs are a different beast," he told a reporter. "You have to bring your best every night. I'm ready for that challenge." As the final games ticked down, the Lakers remained on the cusp of postseason qualification. The city held its breath, the fans prayed, and Jack LaRavia prepared to prove that he belonged not just in the regular season, but in the bright lights of the playoffs. The playoffs are where legends are born, and rookies are tested. For Jack LaRavia, this was uncharted territory, but also the ultimate proving ground. The Lakers clinched a spot in the postseason, edging out competitors in a nail-biting finish. The atmosphere in Los Angeles was electric, but the stakes were higher than ever. Jack knew this wasn't a time for mistakes. In the first round, the Lakers faced a seasoned opponent loaded with star talent. The series was intense, physical, fast-paced, and strategic. Every possession mattered. Jack's role shifted. He was no longer a developing player with freedom to find his way. Now every move was calculated. Defense was paramount. Offense opportunistic. In Game 1, Jack came off the bench and immediately made his presence felt. A key block on a drive, a critical rebound, and a three-pointer to ignite the crowd. The Lakers won a hard-fought game. Throughout the series, Jack played tough minutes, often matched up against the opposing team's best wing defenders. It wasn't easy. He struggled at times but never quit. In Game 4, with the Lakers down by 2 in the final minute, Jack hit a clutch jumper to tie the game, sending it into overtime. Though the Lakers eventually lost, the moment announced Jack's arrival on the big stage. Veteran teammates praised his composure. "He's got ice in his veins," one said. Coach Hem called him a player who thrives under pressure. The series extended to 7 games. The Lakers fought valiantly but ultimately fell short. For Jack, it was a bittersweet end, disappointment mixed with pride. He'd contributed more than anyone expected. He'd earned respect. And he'd tasted the intensity of playoff basketball. Off-season questions loomed. Could he sustain this level? Was he part of the Lakers' future plans? The organization saw promise, but the NBA was a business, and expectations were high. For Jack, the answer was clear. He'd keep working, keep improving, keep climbing. Because the playoffs had shown him what it took. And he was ready to take the next step. As the off-season dawned, the roar of the crowd faded, and the bright lights dimmed, Jack LaRavia found himself alone with his thoughts, reflecting on a season of growth, challenges, and hard-earned lessons. He was no longer a rookie wandering the fringes of the league. He was a proven contributor on one of the NBA's most storied franchises. But the journey was far from over. The front office began planning for the next chapter, evaluating the roster, exploring trades, and setting goals for the future. Amid this, Jack remained focused on his personal development. He knew the margin between good and great was razor thin. Strength, skills, basketball IQ, everything needed sharpening. Jack committed to the off-season grind. Hours in the gym, studying film, refining his shot, and expanding his defensive range. He sought advice from veterans, coaches, and mentors, anyone who could help elevate his game. At the same time, he embraced the role model responsibilities that came with his rising profile. Visiting youth basketball camps, engaging with fans, and speaking openly about the importance of perseverance. Los Angeles was becoming home. Rumors swirled about the Lakers' off-season moves, but one thing was certain. Jack LaRavia was part of the conversation. Whether as a core piece or a valuable asset, his value had grown immensely. The future held uncertainty, as all NBA careers do, but Jack faced it with confidence and humility. He was a young player with proven resilience, a relentless work ethic, and a hunger to succeed. The season ahead would bring new challenges, new opportunities to prove himself. And Jack was ready. Because this was just the beginning. The new season approached like a fresh canvas, filled with endless possibilities and unspoken challenges. Jack LaRavia returned to training camp with renewed vigor and a determination sharper than ever. The off-season had been grueling but transformative. He had added muscle, fine-tuned his jump shot, and enhanced his defensive footwork. More importantly, he had cultivated a mental toughness born from the trials of the previous season. Lakers training camp was competitive. New faces, veterans, and hopefuls all vying for minutes in a crowded rotation. But Jack wasn't just competing, he was commanding respect. Coaches noticed his improved conditioning and basketball IQ. Teammates saw his leadership in practice, his willingness to push harder and mentor younger players. From the start, Jack's role expanded. No longer simply a role player off the bench, he was now a reliable wing who could be trusted in crunch time. The season opener was a test. The Lakers faced a top Eastern Conference team in a hostile arena. Jack started the game and set the tone with aggressive defense and smart playmaking. His stat line, 16 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, was a statement. As weeks passed, Jack's consistency became a hallmark of the Lakers' rotation. His ability to guard multiple positions and hit timely shots helped the team overcome adversity, including injuries and tough schedules. The fans embraced him as one of their own. LaRavia's energy is contagious, a local reporter noted. He embodies the Lakers' spirit of resilience. Off the court, Jack balanced the pressure with gratitude. He remembered the young kid who dreamed of the NBA, the unknown free agent who fought for every opportunity. Now he was a vital piece in a championship chase. Yet, Jack remained humble, knowing the journey never truly ends. Every practice, every game, every moment was a chance to be better. The spotlight was brighter, but so was his resolve. Jack LaRavia was rising, not just from the ashes of a challenging season, but toward a future filled with promise and greatness. The intensity of the NBA season settled in quickly. As the Lakers pushed through grueling stretches of games, the physical and mental toll became undeniable. Jack LaRavia faced his share of trials. Early in the season, a minor hamstring strain sidelined him for a handful of games. Frustration crept in. He knew how crucial every minute was in a competitive lineup. But Jack used the downtime wisely, focusing on rehab and film study, determined not to lose momentum. When he returned, Jack found the Lakers facing a tough skid, losses piling up and doubts creeping in. The team's chemistry was tested, and the media questioned if they could contend. Jack, however, refused to succumb to negativity. He stepped up as a vocal leader in the locker room, encouraging teammates and leading by example in practice. His on-court performance reflected his resolve. In a critical home game against a playoff rival, Jack exploded for 22 points, 9 rebounds and 5 assists. His hustle plays and clutch shots fueled a pivotal victory, earning praise from fans and analysts alike. Teammates began to rely on Jack not just for energy, but for steady production. Coach Ham's confidence in him grew, granting him more minutes and freedom to impact the game. Off the court, Jack balanced the demands with personal growth. He invested time in community initiatives, mentoring young athletes and engaging with fans. The once quiet rookie was evolving into a respected leader. Despite the hurdles, the Lakers' season regained momentum. Jack's contributions were key in the team climbing the standings, staying in the hunt for a strong playoff seed. The road ahead remained tough. The Western Conference was loaded with talent, and every game demanded peak performance. But Jack LaRavia was ready. Trials would come. Triumphs too. And through it all, he would keep fighting, for his team, for his dreams, and for the legacy he was beginning to build. As the regular season approached its climax, every possession felt heavier, every game more urgent. The Lakers were locked in a tight race for playoff positioning, and Jack LaRavia's role continued to grow in importance. Opponents had adjusted. Scouting reports targeted Jack's tendencies, testing his defense and looking to exploit any lapses. But Jack met the challenge head-on, improving his footwork, anticipation, and physicality. His offensive game expanded, with a more reliable three-point shot and better court vision. Jack began initiating plays, driving to the basket and finding teammates for open looks. In high-pressure moments, his calm demeanor stood out. Whether closing out quarters or stepping up in clutch time, Jack showed he could handle the spotlight. One night against a top-tier rival, Jack hit a game-winning jumper with seconds left, a defining moment that solidified his growing reputation. The locker room recognized his maturation. Veterans sought his input, appreciating his blend of youthful energy and growing basketball IQ. Coaches praised his work ethic and consistency. Media narratives shifted too. Where once he was a sleeper pick, now he was considered a cornerstone piece in the Lakers' future. But with rising stakes came mounting pressure. The weight of expectations sometimes brought frustration. Jack battled through a rough patch, missing key shots and feeling the strain of carrying more responsibility. Yet, his resilience never wavered. Each setback was met with extra hours in the gym, study sessions, and mental preparation. The season's final stretch promised to be a crucible, testing not just skill but character. Jack LaRavia was ready to meet the moment. The playoffs loomed just beyond the horizon, and the Lakers had positioned themselves as serious contenders. Jack LaRavia's journey, from undrafted underdog to essential contributor, had captured the attention of fans and analysts alike. This season had tested him in every way, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Yet Jack emerged stronger, more confident, and deeply committed to the team's goals. In locker rooms filled with championship dreams, Jack found his voice as a leader. Young players looked to him for guidance. Veterans respected his dedication and humility. Off the court, Jack's influence grew as well. He became a mentor in the community, inspiring the next generation with his story of perseverance and hard work. Looking ahead, the future was bright. Contracts, roster moves, and team dynamics would continue to shift, but one thing was clear: Jack LaRavia was a cornerstone of the Lakers' future. He had proven he could perform on the biggest stages, shoulder pressure, and elevate his game when it mattered most. More than that, he embodied the spirit of resilience and determination that defined the franchise. As the final buzzer echoed on the regular season, Jack felt ready to chase championships, to push his limits, and to build a legacy worthy of the purple and gold. The journey was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning.